That's how I got into advertising. Thrown in the deep end, sink or swim.
What can you tell about this time in marketing?
Like, everything was new. Everything was being done for the first time. We're breaking new ground. People were being very creative. You could do anything you wanted to. It really was the golden age because it seemed to me that most of our clients, they had unlimited money. Interesting thing about alcohol, and specifically Jack Daniels, is that when times are good, people drink whiskey. When times are bad, they drink twice as much whiskey.
Čau, já jsem Robin z Visibility a vítám vás u našeho dalšího Vizicastu. Tentokrát s člověkem, který může za to, že na českých festivalech potkáváme Jack Daniels Truck. Taky pracoval pro firmy jako Volvo, Finlandia, ale má toho poměrně hodně, co má za sebou. Kromě toho je taky DJ a i původně je z Velké Británie. Takže dneska to bude trošku jiný. Welcome,
Hi.
Kevin.
Hi, thanks.
How are you doing today?
Very good, thanks, actually.
Oh,
yeah.
perfect. Please tell us what's the reason and when you come to Czech Republic?
Well, it was a bit of an accident, really.
Accident?
Yeah, I was kind of heading down towards Greece, Italy, that kind of area, in a truck with all my records, and got waylaid in the Czech Republic. A couple of friends had already been to the Czech Republic, and
when?
This was September 1993.
1993.
Mm-hmm. Shortly after the Velvet divorce.
I was one year old.
Okay.
Nice. But 1993.
Yeah.
Why Czech Republic? It was 1 year, or it was the beginning of Czech Republic. It's
Yeah.
very short time after communism. Why Czech Republic? You lived in
Britain, in Nottingham.
Nottingham,
Mm-hmm.
and why Czech Republic?
Well, like I said, I'm sad to say it was a bit of an accident. I didn't know where the Czech Republic was, never mind plan to come here.
Okay.
But some friends had already been traveling around, and they specifically said, you have to go to Prague.
Okay.
So my friend and I, John, we came to Prague. And the rest, as they say, is history.
Okay.
Didn't plan to stay, didn't plan to have more than a few weeks here, but it was so exciting. It was the wild East. It was full of opportunity, full of adventure, a lot of people.
Yeah. But what is important is that before your travel to Czech Republic, you were DJ in Britain.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's your beginning in Czech Republic too.
Yeah,
because
right.
you have a really nice story about a lot of vinyls in your car.
Right, you want to hear the story of the vinyl? Okay, well, if you can imagine it, I had an old Toyota Hiace.
Mm-hmm.
And when I left England, I basically put everything I had in the back of a van and got a one-way ticket. When I arrived at the border, of the Czech border, the police stopped us and said, business or pleasure? And of course, we just said, pleasure, we're just driving through. And what we didn't know was, if they'd have opened the back of the van and found all my records, there's no way they would have believed it was pleasure. Anyway, they asked us to open up the back of the van, and the guy opened the back of the van, and a cup fell out and smashed on the floor. And I think the security guard was so embarrassed, he just waved his arm and said, off you go. But later found out that if he'd have found the records, he could have impounded it, and that would have been the end of my travels around Europe.
Was it typical for a British DJ in this time that they had a lot of vinyls and disc records like you?
I don't know. I spent a lot of time working in a club in Nottingham called Rock City.
Mm-hmm.
And as a DJ there, you get sent lots of free records to review and possibly play. I didn't really have anywhere to put them, and I thought they'd be useful for DJing, for working. So
it's absolutely different time than today, when we have the digital audio.
Well, it was a very different time back then. Let me tell you, the first club that I DJ'd at, the DJs there were using audio cassettes.
Here in Czech Republic?
In the Czech Republic,
okay.
Yeah. So they were recording songs off the radio and using 3 or 4 tape decks to DJ. They managed quite well, but yeah. We've moved on from vinyl to CDs to streaming. Today it's very different.
What local people thought about you when you come to Czech Republic with a lot of classic records in vinyl?
Well,
because it must be totally different, because after in the beginning, after communism, here we didn't have a lot of vinyl records like you had.
Right, yeah. The first place I stopped was called Žežerný pes, the Thirsty Dog. Mm-hmm. It was the original Thirsty Dog. It was beside the Obecný dům. Mm-hmm. This was the first place we went for a beer. Okay. And as I went in, I said to the barman, "Hi, I'm a DJ from England looking for work." And the barman explained that the promoter comes in regularly. Mm-hmm. He came in about half an hour, 45 minutes later, and he was a 5-foot Tanzanian guy called Arnie. And I approached him and I explained, and he gave me a pen and paper, and he said, "Write down what records you have, and I'll consider it." Well, I was confused. The van was outside, so I said, "Come and have a look." Eventually he came outside, and I lifted the back of the van and the dust sheet, and there was about 7 or 8 boxes of records. And his eyes literally came out on stalks. He said, you can have my night, you start on Friday. So at the time, the DJs traveling through Prague were essentially backpackers who had half a dozen CDs in their backpack, and they would DJ from that and then possibly move on. So yeah, it was a bit of a shock for them to see the records. And my first night was a bit of a shock too, because I played everything. I used to play in a...
What do you think, that a lot of people comes and ask for some song and you had it, or?
Well, no. I think back then there was 2 types of music. There was rock and there was dance. Okay. And people didn't play a mix of things.
Ah, okay.
So I used to play everything from ABC to ZZ Top and everything in between. And people were kind of shocked at the kind of, different styles of music I would play. And it was different, and it was great. And I got a job, and I stayed.
And what people thought about your style of teaching?
I don't know. They must have enjoyed it, because the place was packed out every night. There was a whole bunch of other DJs there who kind of picked up on it and started doing the same sort of thing. Yeah, it was fun.
It's your beginning in Czech Republic. What happened that after that you will be the part of the Czech marketing?
Well, again, that was it's through DJing. There was an event called the L&M Road Party. I think it was in 1997. And the people who were organising this event, they wanted a DJ who played the kind of music they played at Repre in 1993. And of course I was the guy. So they approached me. The first year I was the DJ, so I went on tour. It was fantastic. We had this great big original Greyhound bus from America. It was decked out with record decks and speakers. There was dancers on the roof. It was fantastic. We had a host, Pavel Andiel from TV Nova. He was the host of the party. And we basically took a tour of 12 cities around the Czech Republic and played this L&M Road Party. There was American music, American drinks and food and games, an American band played. And that was the first year. The second year, I was the manager of the whole show. Okay. So I was thrown in the deep end and joined the BTL department of Leo Burnett, a company called Black Pencil. And we ran the L&M Road Party for the next 3 or 4 years. That's how I got into advertising. Thrown in the deep end, sink or swim. Of course, I've got a lot of experience with promoting and organising parties and events. So the transition to marketing was fairly easy. Okay. But exciting. Yeah. Every day was different.
What can you tell about this time in marketing in the 90s?
In the 90s, it was like everything was new. Everything was being done for the first time. We were breaking new ground. People were being very creative. You could do anything you wanted to. It seemed like the clients had endless amounts of money. and endless time and energy to do everything. It was great. It was, well, I suppose it was the golden age of marketing for the Czech Republic, right up until about 2008.
And was it party?
Yeah, we had a few parties. We organised events for the clients, so there was parties for various different agencies, parties for Philip Morris, Lucky Strike, Smirnoff. There was the kind of 18-30 crowd that we were trying to connect brands with the crowd, their target group, through events. So it was great. Being a DJ and a sound engineer, I had obviously knowledge of that side of things, and then I moved into the marketing side of things, which was obviously very easy for me.
But after this time when you promote these events and these things, you were the part of the classic market, like classic, you were senior. What was the name?
Well, I eventually became senior project director.
Okay, senior
and
project
this was
director.
with the BTL side of things. The ATL is like one message to many people. Yeah. Mass media. BTL was more individual messages to individual. So it included digital as well. Yeah. So the project director was responsible for managing the projects.
Projects.
Yeah, just projects.
And what was your favorite client in this time?
Oh, let me think. Was it Volvo? Well, they were pretty good. No. Was it Pavia? Well, it was interesting. No, it was definitely Jack Daniels.
And still it is. It's not client.
It's not a client anymore.
Still, it's your favorite product.
Yeah, I would say so. It's my favorite product because it's one of the oldest brands that continues today pretty much as it's always done. It stayed true to its authentic nature. For example, did you know that Jack Daniels is the only whiskey still made with charcoal mellowing, which,
Sorry, what?
Charcoal mellowing. You get a huge vat of charcoal.
Yeah.
And you pour the whiskey through to get rid of any impurities.
Oh, okay.
In the early days, 1860, most whiskey was made that way, but it's quite expensive.
But it's interesting that you are from Britain and you like American whiskey.
Yeah, it's good, yeah. Because, England doesn't really have much whiskey to talk of. Scotland's got most of the whiskey, or Ireland, for example. But to be honest, I'm not that keen, to be honest. Jack Daniels was introduced to me by my older sister when she came home drunk from a party once. And it kind of stuck. I don't know. It just, it's a brand that I can look at and say, yeah, that's a brand for me. Okay.
And what was interesting on the working with Jack Daniels brand?
Everything was interesting. Yeah. Wait,
how did it work?
How did it work? Jack Daniels is a whiskey.
Yeah.
And they have restrictions about how they can advertise.
And it was year.
This was 2005.
Okay.
To 2012. So I spent 7 years with old number 7.
Okay.
Convenient. So Jack Daniels is built on stories. Everything is about a story. Jack Daniels' birthday. We know it's September. We just don't know the exact day. So we celebrate the whole month. There's so many stories to do with the brand, the name, the authenticity. And in marketing, stories are the root of all communication. It's what every brand tries to do, tell its own story. It just seemed to me that Jack Daniels was so authentic and so real that it was so easy to promote. My initial job was to help strategize what kind of communication works in which country. I mean,
in which countries?
Central Europe and Africa. So everything between...
In Africa?
Wow.
What does it mean? Czech Republic, Slovakia and Egypt? Or what?
Well, no, I mean, like, it's the structure of the client themselves. They had Europe, and then they had Greater Europe and Africa, which also included somehow India. Don't ask me how that worked. There weren't that many countries in Africa that was doing too much, but technically they were part of Alskins. What I was going to say was, one of the classic advertising images, if you like, from Jack Daniels is the guys working in the warehouse in Lynchburg, Tennessee. And these guys would be dressed in sort of like denim overalls, and they look authentic. But that kind of advertising doesn't really work in Romania, where everybody is coming from denim and wants to go to something a little bit more sophisticated. So you had this idea that the brand could appeal to many different types of people.
Okay.
And it was my job to figure out
Interesting.
what goes with which country.
And I know that you were on the beginning that Jack Daniels is not only shots, but it's drinks. Like.
Now, yeah, this is the interesting thing, because one of the projects we took part in was to develop a drink strategy for Jack Daniels.
Yeah.
Because apparently up until then they didn't really have one. You drank straight Jack Daniels or you drank it with Coke, and that was about it. There are some classic drinks too, but we actually got down to testing a few combinations. I noticed you're drinking Red Bull there. We even tried Red Bull at one point. We tried lots of different combinations, and we came with a set sort of strategy of how the bars and clubs and places around Europe would present Jack Daniels and what combinations. Yeah, it was interesting.
Okay. And today we can see Jack Daniels tracks on music festivals typically.
Right. Yeah.
I think you know something about it.
Yeah, that's the Jack Daniels truck. The truck was very, very difficult in the beginning because basically we took a long time to get it perfected. The idea was simple. We take an old cement truck, we strip it down, we rebuild a bar, and ideally we were supposed to have one button that you press and the whole bar would sort of open up.
Okay.
But it didn't quite work that way, and it took us a long time to get it fixed and repaired and put on tour. But once we'd finished, once we'd put the whole thing together, you had a Jack Daniels experience that would move around to all the festivals. There was the truck, which turned into a bar. There was a fantastic American tractor on the front of it, full of chrome and black, and it was beautiful. We had a stage we could put bands on ourselves.
How was it difficult to have American truck here in Czech Republic? Because it's not typical for our roads.
Yeah, the team that we put together to run the Jack Daniels experience were a bunch of great guys who they ran the project for 8 or 9 years. It really went on a long time. They managed. I remember the first time we played at Štvanica, the island Štvanica, where the
Štvanica.
Yeah, thank you. Where they play the tennis, and we couldn't get the truck in, so we damaged a whole bunch of shrubbery and things. First time we were there, but yeah, it was difficult sometimes, but we managed. We always managed. Okay. The show must go on. Yeah.
Interesting. And how long was the cooperation with the Jack Daniels from your side?
From my side, well, I was involved from 2005 to 2012, 7 years. But after I left, they continued for another 5 or 6 years, so I believe, yeah.
How was the 2008, the economic crisis? How was it work in business, like alcohol and Jack Daniels and marketing?
Well, the interesting thing about alcohol, and specifically Jack Daniels, is that when times are good, people drink whiskey. When times are bad, they drink twice as much whiskey. I don't really know how that works, but we were doing really well through the economic crisis. The brand client, the brand manager at that time was an English guy, and he was adamant that during the economic crisis we shouldn't lose the opportunity to build the brand and to develop the product. We were doing really well. Unfortunately, a lot of other brands weren't. And of course, this is what kind of triggered a complete change in advertising. But at the time, we were doing okay. We were doing great. We were growing, whilst everyone else wasn't.
And how did it work with budgets for marketing? Was it connected to how Jack Daniels is selling in markets, or how did it work?
Well, they had a central budget for marketing, full stop.
Okay.
They probably had their own sort of financial marketing, how they kind of design how much money goes to each country. Our job, my job, was to find scale of economies, so that instead of putting money into individual countries, you could centralize it, develop equipment and programs that could be used by all the countries. So that's how we were approaching it. I didn't really see any marketing budgets as such. Don't forget, we were talking about BTL, not ATL. It's very difficult to do ATL with alcohol. So we focused on the BTL projects.
But when ATL ATL marketing is difficult for alcohol, it's mean that you have bigger budget for BTL.
Well, exactly, yeah. But unlike the ATL, it was a fixed budget. To this day, I don't know what their real budget is. I'll tell you one small story. There was a project called Birthday, and we were trying to figure out,
Birthday of who?
Jack Daniel's birthday.
Ah, okay.
September is Jack Daniel's birthday. So we were trying to figure out what we should spend on this project. I had no idea. This project had to be rolled out amongst all the countries, Central Europe, which included Germany, all the countries between Germany and Russia, and a few countries in Africa as well, and India at that time. So my client was centralizing these budgets from different countries. And when I came with my cost estimate for what we were going to do, the client laughed at me. And I thought, oh my God, I've blown it. And the reason my client was laughing was because he was relieved. He was relieved that he didn't have to go to head office to get a bigger budget. In other words, he could sign off on the project there and then. And that was the beginning of a wonderful relationship. It worked very well.
Different time than today.
Times, yeah. Yeah, no, it really was the golden age, because it seemed to me that most of our clients, they had unlimited money and they could do whatever they wanted to do. And we were only just too happy to help them spend that money in more and more interesting and bizarre ways.
Bizarre ways. Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Today, you are not working in marketing.
Oh.
You are English teacher.
Yeah.
What happened that you stopped your career in marketing?
Okay. Well, I have to qualify this. I have to say, working in advertising and marketing has been brilliant. It's exciting. There's different things every day. I've never stopped learning. I never stopped enjoying the thrill, the deadlines, the creativity, the excitement. But there comes a stage in your life when things start to get a little bit too much and you want to slow down a little bit. If you remember something called Dieselgate, this was where basically the Volkswagen Motor Group were using some software to slightly adjust their emission figures. And they got caught, which completely changed what I was doing. At the time, I was working for a company called Fallon, who were managing the Skoda account. And as the senior project director of Skoda, I was involved in a lot of really interesting projects. Unfortunately...
And was it only for Skoda, or was it for all group, Volkswagen Group?
No, this was purely Skoda. We had one client.
But the problem with emissions was across all.
This was across the whole group, obviously, because they have to play that, No, I worked for Skoda only. Skoda, Simply Clever, you know the one,
You know it.
And where was I? Yeah, Dieselgate happened. A lot of the projects were shut down. I remember at that time it was very intense, and I was very often in the office, till 10, 11, 12 at night. A lot of the projects had been cancelled. A lot of the expansion with new staff, etc., had been cancelled. So it was very stressful. One particular night, it was a full moon. And I was the last in the office. I set the alarm. I started walking across the car park, and the automatic electronic gates shut. So I'm locked in. The gate is about 2.5 meters. So I threw my bag over and started climbing the gate. When I got to the top, I stopped for a minute, looked up at the full moon, and I thought to myself, what on earth am I doing? And it kind of made me stop and think, do I want to be doing this, in the next 5, 10 years? I had an epiphany. I said, no, I don't want to be doing this anymore. And I kind of decided to quit. I stopped. And I'm kind of glad I moved on and did different things. So yeah, it was an epiphany. And
was it the beginning of the teaching, or
not really? No.
Was it something between?
Not really. No. I took some time off. I spent a few months finding myself and trying to figure out.
Finding myself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who am I? What do I want to do? Where do I want to go? What's important? What can I do? What do I want to do? I had DJing to fall back on, which was interesting. But I'd also done a bit of teaching. Anybody who comes to the Czech Republic for any length of time ends up doing a little bit of teaching at some point. And I really enjoyed it. And I really enjoyed meeting different people and talking and telling stories. Stories again. So I slowly started to sort of figure out what I could do, who I could talk to, and I kind of built it from there. So I was fortunate enough at that time to have my own home, and I began building it up, and it was going quite well until COVID.
Okay.
Yeah, that changed everything. Up until then, I used to enjoy going to different customers. I had Electrolux, Dell, different clients, and when COVID came along, you suddenly couldn't travel anywhere, you couldn't do anything. So I had to completely change my setup. So I went online and discovered online teaching, which was fantastic. Rolling out of bed, first thing in the morning, no traveling, you're at home, and it was great.
More effective time.
Yeah, more effective time, more effective everything. And I suppose it's just grown from there. And now the teaching has kind of evolved into a kind of a hybrid lesson of a little bit of consulting, depending on who the client is, and just enjoying. I can't believe I get paid to talk, which is exactly what you've been doing right now, so it's great, isn't it?
Do you have some advice to your younger self?
Yeah. When you're about 28, there's a party. Whatever you do, don't drink the vodka. No, you know what? I don't, because that implies that I have some regrets. And I've made some mistakes. I've done stuff that are kind of embarrassing.
Who not?
Who doesn't? Yeah. But really, I can't really say I've done anything I regret or I wish I'd done it better or something. There's little things. Maybe I shouldn't have been so angry when I quit my job, or maybe I shouldn't have burnt the bridges when I did. But when you think about it, all those things, they add up to make you who you are.
Yeah.
So I don't really have anything that I regret. So my advice to my younger self would be simply enjoy the ride. It's going to be fun. And it has been, so far, touch wood.
Kevin, thank you for your time and being here.
It's been a pleasure. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Tak tohle byl Kevin. Já děkuji za to, že jste sledovali náš Vizicast a nezapomeňte, že ho taky můžete sledovat kromě YouTube, taky na Spotify, Apple Podcast. Tak díky. Čau.